All right, thanks everybody for logging on. We are officially live on Facebook. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a couple things done on the administrative side for Facebook. I appreciate you all for logging on. Do me a favor and like and share this video with your friends list for anybody who you think might be interested in watching. And give us just a couple minutes to get everything squared away, and we'll be getting started in a few. Appreciate you. And let me know if you're logged on right now. Let me know if you have any questions. Right now, I'm just getting the video feed out there, but let me know if you have any direct questions about short-term rentals, and we'll try to get to the questions while we've got Gayla tonight. She actually is working tonight, so I think she has to get back to work at some point, but she has been gracious enough to give us a little bit of time to talk tonight. So we definitely want to respect her time and also want to try to get some of your questions answered in the process. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments. Also, let me know where you're checking in from. What part of the country, what part of the world are you checking in from? Let me know how your day went. All right. And I'll be done in just a second. I appreciate your patience. I wish there was a more efficient way to do this, but it's not really. Facebook doesn't have a more efficient way to get this feed out the way I'd like. So got to go one by one. All right, let's see. Okay, almost done. Hey, Gayla, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I think I turned your mic off. All right, Lexington. That was Louisville. Let's see, Lexington. All right, all right. Just another minute or two. I should be done with this. All right, all right, all right. Just a few more posts, and I should be done. All right, let's see. Embrace. Hey, Gayla, your mic is off. All right, so we're actually live right now. So anything you say is being heard by everyone. But no, I appreciate you for logging on. I am just finishing a couple things. I actually got to make sure that I tag you in the video post. Um,
Is there any way you can be louder? I can barely hear you.
yeah, let me. I'm kind of whispering too. Is that better? Let me turn the volume up.
I thought it was me. Turn my phone up, but
Okay. All right. I just turned the volume up. Now let me. I'm gonna share this to your profile, I believe. Share. Let me see. Gayla. All right. Oh, you know what you got to do. So, Gayla, you got to go into your go into Facebook and go to my profile, and you'll see the live video. Just
hmm
share the live video to your news feed,
okay.
so everybody on your list will be able to see it, and then we should be good to go. All right, I'm ready. Let me know when you're ready.
I was just sharing it. Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right, there it is. I just got the notification. You good to go.
Okay.
All right, can you hear me better?
No, not really.
Um, I wonder why. Uh, I may have to just talk a little bit louder. Is that helping at all?
No, it's like it's not on speaker. I don't really know what's wrong with it, but
Mm, yeah, it might be something on your end because I'm looking at my mic input. Everything is working good. Um,
that very well could be the
here,
case. So it's
here,
okay.
let me turn this volume up and see. There's a microphone volume. Is that better?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that might be on your end. Just kind of play with it a little bit. But let's go ahead and get started. It's 7:10, so I don't want to keep anybody waiting. You got to put the phone up to you to hear. Is that bad?
Sorta.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Make sure your volume is up and check your Zoom. Are you're on the Zoom app?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, check your Zoom. What I think is, I think you got to turn the microphone on or turn the speaker on your Zoom.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah, because right now it might just be like as if you were you're using it, ear using it to your ear or something. But you should be able to hear me fine. All right, appreciate y'all just bearing with us. Y'all know how this technology can
Oh,
be.
that's better.
All right, you got it?
I got it.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna check the comments real quick. All right, how do you get started in short-term rentals? I see you, Devo. Appreciate you. I see Miranda is on there. Good evening, Miranda from Ohio. Miranda's in the building. What's up, Justin? I see you. Um, Optimize your sound, Kevin. Can y'all hear me better? All right, I think we're good. All right, Gayla. So welcome, man, to a special edition of Wealth Talk Tuesdays. I appreciate you for taking time out of your absolutely busy schedule to sit down with us for a little bit this evening. We definitely want to try to get you in and get you out because I know you got to get back to work. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but before we get into everything, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I think you'll be prepared. Before we get into everything, can you just tell everybody that's watching, can you just tell them a little bit about you, a little bit about who you are and where you come from? And then we'll just kind of dig into it from there.
Thank you. Actually, thank you very much for having me and inviting me. I appreciate the gesture and the invite. Um, I am, I have to think about how old I am. I am 33,
You ain't got to tell it.
33 years
You ain't got
old.
to tell us.
I know it's okay. It's
All
okay.
right.
I'm 33. I was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. Ended up going to Cincinnati for college, where I actually met Kevin at the University of Cincinnati. Um, After that, I went to nursing school. I got my registered nursing degree from Good Samaritan College of Nursing in Cincinnati, Ohio. And from there, I just began to build my career. I went from different specialties, and then I ended up basically where my passion is, which is critical care ICU. So for the past 7 years, I've been doing travel nursing, travel critical care. So I've traveled from places from Boston to California, LA, San Francisco, Oakland, San Diego, Palm Springs, um, Yucca Valley. Nobody probably knows where that
I was
is.
going to say Yucca Valley.
Yeah, it's the desert of California, but I've been all over. Um, and so in traveling, I traveling allows you to maximize your earning potential in that field. So in doing so, I realized the biggest need in that is housing. You know, when you go from state to state, you have to have somewhere to stay. You have to have somewhere to where that you're comfortable, kind of like a home away from home. And a lot of times it was very hard to find that. Or if I did find it, it was so expensive that it just kind of defeated the purpose of me traveling, being inconvenienced, leaving my family, leaving my daughter to do it. So I thought and came up with, that idea, like, I want to create something that is affordable for people who want to better themselves. I want to build something um, that allow them to still keep the money that they're working hard for in their pocket, but then they still feel comfortable where they are. So I began to research some things and end up researching that like 80% of companies were travel based. They were sending out their employees to other states, other cities, for meetings or for trainings or anything. So it just seems like kind of like the best way to kind of go. So I ended up developing my own company and becoming an entrepreneur in 2017. I
Okay,
partnered with.
let's slow you
Oh,
down a bit. Let's slow you down. That's
oh,
cool.
I didn't
It's
know.
cool. Nah, it's cool. It's cool. You get rolling. I like it because I know you's a little bit nervous. So now we starting to get you spill it out a little bit. We gotta slow you down. All right. All right, perfect. All
I'll
right,
just
perfect.
tell it all and be done.
Yeah. Nah, you can't do that, man. You gotta wine and dine them. All right, so all right, let's back up. Now, I like the intro, and I want to kind of break it down a little bit, because definitely you could get straight to it, but sometimes the nuggets are in the midst of the story. So one of the things with Wealth Talk Tuesdays, or what I like to talk about, or at least highlight, is kind of highlight people's journey from where they are today, right? Like right now, where we see you, like, yes, this isn't the finished product, but this is the finished product of where you are right now. And it's probably, and I say probably, I know, but it's probably more polished in a sense than where you came from and where you grew up and what your background is. So can you tell us a little bit about, where you come from in Toledo, what Toledo is like? I made you give them the real, because part of that wealth journey and part of that journey of, everything that you've been through is keeping in context of what the grind was like before, and, literally, like, where do you come from to where you are today. So today you're a globe trotting traveling nurse that's getting to the bag, and you're an entrepreneur and you're an investor, but that's not how you started out. So how did life start out for you?
It started out. I had a good childhood, actually, um, despite some of the circumstances. So, and I'm a transparent person. I'm one of them people, like, you can see my whole book, open it up. I'm okay with that, because I want somebody else to know that where they came from, they could become something that their environment didn't really suggest. Um, so I grew up. I'm the oldest of four. I have three younger siblings. Um, my mom did not raise me. I was raised by my grandmother and raised by my aunt. Um, my mom just wasn't in the position to, care for her kids at that time. So my grandma stepped in. She took very good care of me. I lived in a part of town that was pretty centrally located. I lived in kind of like the OSN kind of neighborhood of Toledo. But the part I lived in was, I mean, we had a lot of gang banging going on. It was whatever you see, hustle at its finest. I mean, from flipping quarters on the street to, I mean, we as kids, we flipped quarters. We couldn't really gamble. So, but down the block, you might see a group of people gambling, or you may see people selling drugs, or you may see anything. Um, I grew up in one of the most popular high schools. Um, Pretty much everybody went there. It was pretty popular for band and popular for basketball. I was really into sports growing up. But where I come from, you was basically said to not make it. Um,
Mm,
or you wasn't not that you wouldn't make it, but nobody would think that we would be, what I am today. And I also have a couple other people who, that's from where I'm from, who are very successful and, made it and is doing a wonderful job. So my odds wasn't always the best. Um, but I thought to myself growing up, either I'm gonna use these issues, the fact that my mom's not here, the fact that my dad was in and out of my life, either I'm gonna use this as an excuse, or I'm gonna use it as my motivation. And I used it as my motivation. I used it as an example of what I was not going to become. And I could honestly, with a smile on my face, say I succeeded. That
that's a good feeling.
it is. It is.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. It's it's always interesting. I appreciate you for opening up a little bit, and telling us about flipping quarters and the reality of, like, I come from somewhere where they say, like, yo, you're not supposed to make it out of here. And when every time I interview people, I always find it interesting that, the circumstances, right, being born into, maybe poverty, or not having your mom around, or not having your dad around, or living up in this, or growing up in this rough environment, you really have one or two decisions, right? Like, you're either going to say, I'm going to grind up out of this, and I'm going to do what I got to do to change the circumstances and change the dynamic, or I'm just going to, submit to it, and I'm going to basically accept this as what life is. And that decision factor is not just a decision factor that kids are faced with. That's a decision factor that adults are faced with. So I always try to encourage, no matter where you are in age or on the pendulum, you do not have to accept your current circumstances and your current environment, right? It may be tough, But if you just make a shift in mindset and a shift in perspective, you can grind up out of that situation. It might take some
Right.
time, but you can do it.
Right. And one thing um, I do take pride in is that I really believe that God sent me people along the way. It was along the way. It was always somebody in my corner saying, "Hey, you're smarter than this. Hey, you're bigger than this. Hey, you can do more than this." I remember my seventh grade year, I was a fighter. So I think I was in school the whole year, maybe 14 days out of the whole
Mm,
year, um, just fighting for, whatever reason, all type of craziness. And it was my teacher, Mr. Jones. He was crazy. But I remember coming back to school. I think I wasn't there for 2 weeks and taking a test. And I think I got like a 98%. And he looked at me and he called me at the end of class and he said, "I'm not understanding how you have a 98% and you haven't been here. You
mm.
don't know the material." I said, "Well, you gave it to me. I read it at home." And he said, but you still, I didn't teach
You
it
ain't
to
been
you.
here, right?
I didn't teach it to you. So
Yeah.
it was then I just kind of realized, like, okay, Gayla, you're a lot smarter um than you think. And he said, I am, he looked at me in my face and he said, "I am not going to let you fail. I
Mm,
am not going to let you be a statistic." So even though I was suspended half of the year, he made sure I got all of my work. He made sure my eighth grade year was a lot different than my seventh grade year. And it was people like him. I have other people along the way, even my college journey, um, God has just kind of sent me to kind of guide and just help. So a lot of times we get a lot of influence, not only from our parents, not only from our relatives. It's people from all over.
mm. That's a good word. That's a good word. Um, and I believe one of them is watching. Who you think that is?
I think Miranda's watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So shout out to Miranda. All right, what's up, Derek? Keyshawn, just shouting out some of the people and the showing up in the comments. Just if you have any questions, we're gonna get to the short-term rentals in just a second. Drop a question in the comments, and I'll definitely catch it and we'll run it by Gayla. So moving on from there, I know you're actually working tonight, right? Like you on a job. You are an ICU nurse, which is crazy. And I'm sure a couple people are asking or wondering, and I know I'm wondering. Can you just tell us a little bit? Just tell us a little bit. How are things going right now? And at your current job, is everything cool? And how has your experience been with COVID so far?
So I started working COVID when it first hit in March. I went from Toledo to Boston to Kentucky. And it's been crazy. It's been a whirlwind. It's been some very emotional days, but it's been some very promising and exciting days.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you take the good with the bad. Um, right as of right now, I'm just doing a lot of procedures. I place catheters, line catheters that go to the heart. So that's the job that I'm working right now. But critical care wise, I'll be leaving next week to head back to California to
Mhm.
help. They're really needing some help out there. They're kind of drowning, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
Cali's going crazy right now.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's tough, man. It's tough. I've worked
Mhm.
ICU for 7 years, seven I think, and I've never seen it like this. People always ask me, how do you get used to, death? A lot of people pass away in the ICU, um, and they do. But believe it or not, I work my butt off, and a lot of my patients don't
Mhm.
pass away on me.
Right.
So I don't have that a lot. But in the beginning of COVID, I remember, I remember putting 4 people. Um, they passed away on me that day. 4 people.
In one
So
day.
in one day, and it
Woo.
was tough.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
imagine.
going home, and I thought I was okay. I thought I was okay. I internalized it. I had my emotion. My emotions kind of in check while I was at work, and I was fine. I was like, I got this. I got it. And it wasn't until I got home, And I took my shower and I laid down and closed my eyes, and all I could do is see those people.
Mm,
And I remember bawling. Uh, I just remember bawling.
yeah.
And, luckily I, was able to like have a friend to talk to and kind of talk it out. But I, I didn't know that it was affecting me like that.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, so I told all of my friends, my nurses, not even just nurses, environmental services, anybody who's working through this pandemic in that hospital, keep your mental together. Do what you need to do to stay mentally healthy. Because if you're not healthy, if you're not sound, you can't help anybody else.
mhm.
So,
No, that's real, and I think that applies in a lot areas of life, man. Obviously, it definitely applies in your line of work and what you all are going through right now. But I think that's a good word for any area of our life. If our mental health is not together, it's going to affect other aspects of our life. All right, let's move into this short-term rental biz a little bit and talk about that. So in the intro you were talking about you were traveling a lot and you were talking about the just the cost and how much it costs for for traveling, not just nurses, right? Traveling employees of different companies, how costly it is for them to find a place to live. So you saw that need and you saw that opportunity, and you said you started doing some research. So how did you go from seeing the need to doing some research to actually having a full-fledged short-term rental business?
um, I just started researching how many companies. First off, what I did was looked on, um, like Indeed and a lot of your
Mhm.
advertising companies, basically with trying to get employees. And I'm like, well, what are people wanting?
Mm,
And one of the big things was, we need you to be flexible. We need you to travel. And I'm
mm,
like, wow. So, like between 60 and 80% of the jobs were saying they want you to travel somewhere else.
mm,
So I'm like, geez, like that's a lot of companies, a lot of jobs that people have to be able to go
got it.
somewhere else just to work.
Mm,
So I'm like, wow, that's pretty, uh, that's good. So then in traveling, you meet so many people. I mean, I meet so many different people. And I started noticing that a lot of people that I would meet weren't from where I was at. Oh yeah, I'm
mm,
from such and such, or I'm here out on business, or I met one of the engineers for Tesla. I'm like, well, where are you from? I'm from Houston, but he was in California. So it was just like,
mm,
wow, all these people, are not where they call home. So
mm.
it just kind of made me start kind of just really digging into it. And then I was like, I think that in the travel nursing world itself is so many of us that I felt, well, I'll just take a leap, even if it's just for us, just for travel nurses. um and so I just kind of took the leap and jumped off the porch, found a partner and went from there.
Okay, so we're gonna unpack that a little bit. So you said you saw the need. That's one, the fact that when it comes to business, it comes to entrepreneurship, being able to find a need and supply, a product or a service to fulfill that need, is definitely. I mean that's what business is. So the fact that you picked up on that, and you was like, yo, I see this need, and there's something that I think I can bring to the marketplace. What I find interesting about that is one, this is something that piqued your interest outside of the whole Airbnb craze and the fad of Airbnb. And Airbnb is not just the only one. There are a lot of different websites, but you saw a particular need in a certain segment of the business world, particularly traveling professionals. Like I know you have your particular niche, but there are, like you said, a lot of traveling professionals, not just in the nursing field, but companies in general. And as you're looking through these jobs, you said, hey, 60, 70, 80% of these jobs are requiring people to travel. So there is a significant need for people to have a place to stay. And from your experience, people, they're not always looking to stay in a hotel, right?
Right. Because you want to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on, either you the first thing is you want to be comfortable, and the second is you don't want to spend a lot, because 90% of the time you're not in that space, right? So hotels are charging, $150 a good one a night, or a day, a night for a hotel room. But if you're working a 12-hour shift like I am, I'm not in the room that much. So
Mhm.
I'm literally coming there, showering after work, and going to bed to do it again the next day. So I think that's a lot of money for me to pay for one night, for me to be there maybe 10 hours.
Mhm.
I think so. I just was like, this is too much. Um, it was just too much.
I got you. No, and then now let's dig into, you found a business partner. You and your business partner was like, hey, this is, the need that we see, and this is what we want to do. How did you actually get started? What was the first thing that you did to put you in business? Outside of the formal, hey, we got an LLC, we wrote out a little business plan or something like that. Outside of that, the actual, what put you in business? You needed something. What did you need? And then how did you go about getting that?
So we needed our first property.
Mm-hmm.
I would start there. I mean, obviously, you're right. Everybody knows you got to get an LLC, you got to get a business plan, got to get a name, all that stuff. And all that stuff comes, from you, however you come up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was our first step. It's just getting a property. Um, so we knew that we weren't a multi-million dollar company. We had became a company, but we didn't have any properties. We didn't have millions of dollars. So we started from scratch. We put, what we had in our savings up. Um, and we came up with that amount. And we said, this is what we got. So let's see if we can find let's see if we can find something, you know, in this price range. So my partner had a rental before we started our business of her own. So she was a little bit more aware of, the housing market and purchasing homes and what's the best way to look for them. So we ended up doing like land bank, and we found something that was very inexpensive. Um, and then we obviously it needed some work. That's why it was inexpensive. So we took our time and we worked on it. We rehabbed it. We worked on it. Um, it took us a while, because the thing about our business is, because we were um, advertising for travel professionals, we had to make sure that our house or houses were in the prime location. Location was key for us. Um, so we had to get our house either close to hospitals or close to the factories where people would be working. There's a lot of welders and iron workers and construction workers. They travel a lot also. So we were just trying to find prime location. That was like our two biggest things.
No, that's great. So now, I think DeVoe is still watching. This is a shameless plug for one of my brothers. If you are thinking about starting any type of business and you need some help from a business consulting standpoint, you need help from the LLC standpoint, from the business plan standpoint, make sure you check out my brother DeVoe Sherman. I think he is watching. DeVoe, if you are watching, make sure, man, you put your name in the comments and let people know how they can get in touch with you. All right, shameless plug. No, no, that's over. All right, so I like that. So you knew you needed a property. Y'all put y'all money up. You knew you needed a property. You found a business partner that has some experience already in the real estate sector. You already had some experience. I think you had your property. You had your home already too, right? In Cincinnati, or was it before? Or
No, I mean, I have my
yeah,
own, but I
yeah,
didn't
you
have
had, yeah,
rental property.
right, rental property experience. Okay, and then now, as far as location, with y'all traveling, well, traveling here and there, you live in one place, traveling another, you decided to get a property back home, right? So how did you manage this process of looking for property, buying a property, renovating a property, owning a property, all in the midst of you handling a busy schedule? Because I think there are sometimes people tend to think that maybe that, hey, this is doing too much, or on the flip side, they don't realize how much work goes into implementing something of this magnitude.
It was definitely tough, Kevin. You're absolutely right. I was still working a full-time nursing schedule. My partner still was working a full-time schedule herself. So I was going back and forth like every other weekend. For a little bit of, we purchased in 17, most for a little bit of 18, we actually was like, you know what, this is a lot. We realized it was a lot. And so we
Mhm.
said, let's just go the long-term rental route. Let's just, because this is a lot, this is more than what we bit off, than we could chew. We bit off more than we could chew, rather. And so we decided to do that. And then in doing that, we rented it. Um, we and then we realized this isn't what we really wanted. This isn't it.
Yeah.
So once that tenant left is when we jumped on it, head over heels. Um,
Mhm.
and we worked on it. I mean, we just worked as a team. If she couldn't do it, I could do it. Here recently, if I couldn't do it, she couldn't do it. We threw my mom in there. My mom helps out some. So just kind of we used our support system, what we had, and we just made it happen. My partner is amazing when it comes to that, because she lives there, where it's located, and I don't. So if she definitely helps out.
Mhm. And so, and so having boots on the ground wherever you invest, because people there are some people who are watching who may have a vacant property already. They may be thinking about getting a property, or they may have a property that they may be thinking about vacating for whatever reason and are trying to figure out what to do with it. So having some type of support network or some type of boots on the ground is helpful in running this type of business model.
I mean, I would say it's necessary. It's not even helpful. It's necessary,
Mhm.
because somebody has to, you have guests, that come in and out. Somebody has to go in there and make sure it looks to par. Somebody has to go in there and make sure, things are taken care of. Weekly trash, things like that. It's the little things that you start realizing, like, oh, I really need somebody
Mhm.
to help me with this.
Mhm.
So it is definitely necessary.
Mhm. No, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you need somebody with, like you said, all the different nuances that you gotta manage. All right, it's 7:37. I'm gonna try to hold you for maybe 20 more minutes. All right.
That's
All right, cool. So, um, so once you all got the property, you said you tried to do the long-term rental thing. You was like, nah, this is not what we want to do. So one lesson there is to stick to the plan, right? And once you decided, like, hey, we got to stick to the plan, and we started to move forward. And now we're assuming, like, say, for anybody watching, we're assuming that you have the property now. And just a quick question before I move on from here. In your experience, as somebody who, has rented a lot of places on a short-term basis, because not only are you an owner, but you're also a user of these services as well. And you know a lot of people who use these services. Based on your experience and your knowledge, do you think that if somebody does it have to be a house, or does it have to be a certain amount of bedrooms, or does it have to be a certain size, or is the overriding principle, something comfortable, somewhere where they can sleep, they can shower, they can eat? And then does it have to be, do they have to be in the location by themselves, or can people rent out, let's say they're comfortable doing this, can they rent out, say, a room on a short-term basis as well?
absolutely. One thing that I have found out in this business is you can do whatever you want to do. I've seen people rent out like their shed, in the back. No, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. Um, you can rent out a room in your home if it's just like, I have all this space in my house. There's no one here but me. My kids are off to college, and I just want to rent. If you're comfortable with that, absolutely, you can do that. If you have a vacant, property, and you want to rent it, room by room, you could do that. Or you just want to rent it as a whole, you can do that also. It's just because there's so many people, and what I found out is all type of people want different things. Some trips I go on, I want a complete house. I need my space. I want maybe one or two bedrooms, living room, dining room. I need a full kitchen. Um, and a lot of times when I travel, I take my daughter, so I need space for her when she comes out. So it just depends on what I'm looking for. But I've rented from rooms to complete houses. Um, to A lot of times, I'm one of the people who I don't like to share a bathroom. So I get kind of finicky with that. So when I rent a room, I make sure I rent like a room with not a shared bathroom. I can share the rest of the house with other professionals, but I need my own bathroom.
Mhm.
And there's places like that that'll rent out pretty much as their master bedroom with the connect bath type of thing. So it's a wide open market and it's very vast.
No, I like that. So let's talk about one of the things we didn't cover, and I would definitely want to cover this. So we got his place now, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. We can't cover that here, right? That's a whole nother conversation in terms of the place. But we have a place, we got a room, we got a garage, we got a shed, we got whatever we got. And we know that there's opportunity out there, right? For us to make money,
Right.
for us to utilize this space. Now, how did you actually go from, okay, we have this space to how did you get into, securing people to rent this place? How did you decide on your pricing model? And then are there certain platforms and things that you're utilizing today or that you have utilized to help you with managing that booking process?
Um, that was a lot of questions
I'm
in there,
sorry.
Kevin.
I can repeat some of them. Just
um, so first off, um, we had started via word of mouth. Word of mouth. We didn't want to, being a new company, we didn't want to put a lot into, marketing and advertising, basically, because we weren't making any money at that point yet. So we just used word of mouth. And a friend of mine helped us get our initial um, three or four tenants. They were welders in construction, and helped us get that. And then kind of once we got that and kind of first got our first clients, we learned.
Mhm.
We learned that there's a lot of things that you have to say, a lot of things you have to do, um, because everybody you have to. And one thing about this is you can never assume that people grew up the way you did, that people live the way you do. You cannot assume anything in this business. So if it's not written, if you haven't specified it, then it doesn't matter,
Mhm.
to the client. Um, so is that I answered one question,
No,
right?
you answer one. I'll come back to it. It's so one of the benefits though for you is because since you are already in that traveling space, both of you, right? Your partner, I believe, she's a traveling nurse as well.
No.
Oh, okay, okay. So, but you at least had a network and you had people that you could reach out to that you could kind of pass that word of mouth and say, hey, we have this space that's available for rent. So that's definitely a benefit, but nonetheless, word of mouth and just letting people know, hey, I've got this space for rent. And then one of the things you talked about is learning by doing, right? Like you're not going to know everything there is to know before you get started. So
Mm-mm.
don't let that stop you. Move forward and learn by doing, and then of course learn from your mistakes. So you did word of mouth. Now, in terms of where we are today, do you still do most of your business bookings by word of mouth, or are you leveraging other platforms to help with the booking process?
We are using other platforms, because you do need that marketing. I do understand in the beginning people may not be able to afford it like we couldn't,
Mhm.
but as you grow, you do want that. You want that exposure, because it increases your network and it broadens your brand.
Mhm.
So we did start using other platforms to help us out, and it also helped with our keeping our booking, our calendar. So we weren't overlapping
Mhm.
clients at all. But we do still have a lot of clients that we get via word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what we'll do is we may get them via word of mouth or by referral. I would say we get them by referral. Other nurses or other professionals have stayed with us, and so they will refer a friend or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what we do is just have them. We'll send them to a
Yep.
site or something, because it's easier. So hopefully, here in the upcoming future, we'll have our own um, booking site, and then we can just go straight
Mm-hmm.
through that.
No, I like it. I mean, you're basically one. You said it. Using other sites or using various sites helps increase the exposure. It helps keep you booked, because that's one point. Since you're not renting or leasing to a single tenant who's occupying that every single night, you now have basically you're renting this space out on a nightly basis. And now there are clients who may come in and stay for several days or a week or 2 weeks, but still you have to keep that booking calendar full in order for you to continue to make money, unlike the traditional model where somebody pays 1 month, they stay the entire month, et cetera, et cetera. But leveraging those different platforms also kind of acts like your business software, where it helps you
Mhm.
manage the transaction as well as helps you manage your booking, so that, like you said, you aren't overlapping. Now, in terms of the actual space itself, right? Like, when we traditionally lease out a space, we're just leasing out the space. It's totally empty. But when you're doing short-term rentals, you can't quite just lease out an empty space. Is that right? I mean, you probably could, but
You could. I've seen that too. I've seen that too. So
the
you
air
could.
mattress, the air
Yeah,
mattress on the floor.
I've seen that. And then they're like $1,000 a month for a
Yeah,
rug on the floor and a pillow. And I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
okay,
That's a fact.
okay. So definitely. So how we kind of did it is we wanted something that we wouldn't mind staying in ourselves. So
Hmm.
we created that home vibe, that for us, something that's comfortable, clean, comfortable, and inexpensive. So that's kind of where we went with that. So
And when you
we furnished it based off that.
Perfect. So I was just going to say, when you say a home vibe, that means you provided furnishings, right? Like now, when we say you provided a home vibe and you provided furnishings, unless you have a luxury rental, right? Let's talk about that, because I don't want to misstate. Now, there are various levels of available space, right? Like
Hmm.
as you mentioned, we now, and this is an opportunity for anybody who has vacant space, right? She mentioned that even if you have, that rug and that pillow on the floor is opportunity for you. But at the same time, you also have levels that go from, hey, we gonna put this person out in the shed in the back, or
Yeah,
we got that luxury level where you can, if you have a luxury level space, because I got some folks, I don't know if they were able to make it tonight, but they got some really great locations where they can get, some of that higher end rent. But the decor and the comfortable vibe has to be kind of balanced according to the space, according to the rate, that you're going to demand, as well as what you could demand. So you don't want to overdo it in some spaces and you don't want to underdo it in others. Would that be safe to say?
definitely. It's definitely, you can't put, $1 million furniture in a $10 house.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how, it's safe to say, and then try to charge $2 million for rent just because you have $1 million worth of furniture. So I'm exaggerating, because you see this sometimes. You'll
Mm-hmm.
see people, have a rug on the floor and literally a pillow, and they want to charge you $200 a night for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to gauge your space, gauge your location. These are all things that, um, that's how you set your price. I mean, think about, your hotels. If I get a hotel and it's directly across the street from the stadium, that's what convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I might want to charge a little extra because it's really convenient. Um, they don't have to, you don't have to get a ride across for the concert or whatever. You can just walk across the street.
Mm-hmm.
So based off your location, based off what you put in it, those are all different ways that how many rooms you have
Mhm,
is all different ways you can scale your pricing.
mhm, mhm. And perfect. It's funny you said the word scale because I was just going to ask you. It's 750, and I'm trying to make sure I cover all the questions I can think of. But in terms of scale, um, do you see the opportunity? Because there are some people who latch on to the short-term rentals, and they want to build a big sizable business from there. And there's some people who do. Just from your experience, do you see opportunity to scale the business model both from a market demand standpoint as well as from an economic standpoint in terms of this business makes money?
Um, absolutely, absolutely. This business it can make money, but it also cannot make you any money.
Yeah.
So, it's all about that, supply and demand. It's all about the checks and balances of any business. Make sure what you're putting into your investment, you get that out. You're balancing what you what you put in, so you're not coming out in the negative. So just like any business, it's the same way.
Hmm. Yep, I like it. And let's see. All right, all right, all right. Let me circle back, make sure I ain't got no questions. All right, anybody watching, if you have any questions, let me know. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'm gonna try to hold Gayla for a few more minutes, but we gotta let her get back to work. We gotta let her save some lives and take care of some patients and do that critical care that she does. So we don't want to hold her too long, but no, that's a lot of good information. So in terms of just some best practices, a few words of advice, or some things that you can think of off the top of your head to help somebody who is venturing or may want to venture along in this business. Any words of advice that you would want to give them as someone who's owning and operating and providing temporary housing?
I would say stay consistent. It's not going to be good days all the time. Just keep pushing and plugging through. Um, and know that people are people, and you can't please everybody, because you're going to get some people that you just can't please. And this, in customer service, you got a vast number and a variety of people that you're going to come across. Some you may understand and some you may not,
Hmm.
but it's okay. You have to know that it's okay, and even after that, keep going, keep plugging through. um, Best practices, I would say stay true to what you want to do. It's been many a times me and my partner had to go back to the board and say, hey, do we want to decrease this or increase this, or do we want to make changes here, or and sometimes we did, and sometimes we thought, oh my goodness, we shouldn't have did that, we shouldn't have. So just here, yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
stay true to yourself, stay true to your business model.
Hmm.
But also, I would say understand your surroundings, know where you are. Like, we're doing this. A lot of people have businesses. It's a pandemic right now. Um, Adjust to your surroundings.
Hmm.
How you operated last year might not be how you can operate right now, because of the way that, our country is, running, and the things that we're going through right now with the crisis and pandemic. So learn to adjust. Adjusting will be your biggest friend in any business, but definitely in this business.
Hmm. No, that's excellent advice. Excellent advice, and it's made me think about this. This is it's a legitimate business. Like there are some people who may do it every couple nights a month or once every blue moon, but no matter how frequently you do it or how infrequently you do it, it's still a business. And a lot of the things that you talked about, having to make the adjustments, having to learn from those mistakes, like, hey, we think we want to do this, or having to make those critical decisions and have that different analysis about whatever the business is facing. It's still a business, and it's something that you have to learn how to run. So there's also that argument or that statement where there's a continual learning process, right? And you have to continue to keep learning. Like you said, you got to stay consistent. You got to keep going. You got to power through, the learning curve, and know and stay true to that business model, and why you're why you're doing what you're
Right.
doing. But that's some great business advice. I'll leave you with this. It's 7:55. Did you ever think that you were going to be, an investor and an entrepreneur, or did you just kind of fall into it? How did that come about?
Um, I always knew that I wanted to own properties. Um, because I just knew real estate was like my end game. I wasn't probably going to be able to do nursing my whole life. So I knew it, growing up that or kind of as a young woman, that I wanted to get into it somehow. I just wasn't, I never thought that it would be this.
Hmm.
Um, so it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
God gave us, the vision and graced us through it, and literally, been leading us and guiding us and walking us through it, every step of the way. So we definitely, um, pride in that.
I like it. I like it. That's a perfect answer. A perfect ending, because this is Wealth Talk Tuesdays. So you're ending the conversation by saying, "Hey, I know that one, I may not be able to, and I may not want to do nursing, forever. And there are still going to be financial obligations and responsibilities and things like that, after the fact. And so by creating a business, learning about entrepreneurship, but also owning income producing real estate is a way for me to create wealth for myself and for my family. So thank you, Gayla, man, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. This has been very informative and insightful, and I wish we had more time to, dig into it a little bit more. But thank you for the nuggets that you were able to give us, man. It's much appreciated.
No, once again, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. It was definitely an honor.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. That's it, man. We appreciate everybody on Facebook for logging in. And Gayla, have a wonderful night. Take care, everybody.
You too.
All right. Bye.